Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Superheroes, Movies, and Superhero Movies. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzo.
And today we're talking about Predator. Released in 1987, directed by John McTiernan, written by Jim Thomas and John Thomas, and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, Sonny Landham, Richard Chavez, Shane Black, and Elpidia Carrillo, I assume is how you say that. I gotta really start looking up pronunciations of names before we hit record. So anyway, this was an Arnold movie that came after Terminator, but before Terminator 2, when he was probably pretty close, at the height of his, the peak of his career, probably. The late 80s, early 90s, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could tell with I would say he knew that was kind of happening too. You could see, of course, granted, the only movie that I've seen with him prior to this would have been Terminator.
Right.
So,
there's still a few Schwarzenegger movies I have not seen from this era, I'm ashamed to admit. Like,
I actually was thinking about it, and I really haven't seen a whole lot other than Terminator, Predator, and Jingle All the Way.
Well, there's a lot you're missing, I guess.
I have seen Total Recall. I have seen The Sixth Day.
Yeah.
I have not seen True Lies.
Really?
I've seen like maybe the beginning of it.
Wow. I have seen True Lies.
I remember there was like a car accident.
The three movies that Schwarzenegger did in between Terminator and Predator, I have not seen. So it's Red Sonja, Commando, which I know I have not. I plan to remedy that. I do want to see Commando, and then Raw Deal. So Terminator, obviously, I would argue that made him a movie star. Commando, I know was popular. But then it might have, this movie might have been the movie that really kind of solidified him as a box office movie star. I don't know. I mean, the Terminator did that, but
right. But that's where I was going to say, because I had nothing really to compare him to, because obviously he's so much different in this movie compared to the T-800.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
And his confidence is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's so fun to watch. And it was really neat to, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of Schwarzenegger movies that I've seen, and just to see him perform like that I was just like, and so early on, because like we were talking about, this is early on in his career. Just his performance, his acting performance is really good.
Right. It was and it wasn't. I mean, Conan the Barbarian came out in 1982, so this was 5 years after that. So I mean, I guess it's fairly early, I suppose. But Terminator was 3 years before this, so I think he was, like I said, I think he had kind of established himself. But this, I think, really solidified his movie stardom.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, though, is I think you can kind of see he has a confidence where he kind of knows he's got it.
Right.
He can do the job he's here to do, and that's put on a good acting performance for this action movie.
Right. So I don't really have a memory of seeing this movie for the first time.
I don't either.
I know I didn't see it when I was young. I saw it. I probably ended up either renting it from Blockbuster when I was working there, or I don't know. But I actually haven't seen this movie as many times as I've seen Alien.
Same with me. Well, I take that back. I might have actually seen this one more than Alien, but not more than Aliens.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I want to say this is probably the third time I've ever seen this movie.
That might be the same for me.
Yeah.
Because I think Alien, it was either the second or third time I'd seen it.
Gotcha.
Probably the third. So this might be the third or fourth time I've seen Predator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, I remembered the big moments from this movie. I remember, Schwarzenegger covering himself up in mud,
Right.
and there was a couple things I misremembered, which I'll get into if I can remember. But one of the things I absolutely did not remember was the opening shot of this movie. I did not remember at all that it starts in space and you see the Predator spaceship, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it gets right into it that this is
an alien
sci-fi movie.
Yeah, or a sci-fi movie, yeah.
Yeah, and that the danger is not, a natural thing. It's extraterrestrial.
Right. I wonder if that was put in after the fact. I wonder if the movie was written to start with, the team showing up and being in the jungle, and you don't find out it's a sci-fi movie until like halfway through, or maybe a little less, because you do. I think
that would have been really cool.
Yeah, I do too. But I wonder if like the studio was like, we're gonna really throw people off, or we need to show them right in the beginning that it's a sci-fi movie, and so they showed the spaceship or something. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. I think you could get rid of that shot and still.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. To have the wonder and then the reveal.
Right.
Would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, because we would have been right there with those guys. We would have been like, what is going on? Why is this person invisible and stuff like that? And then, yeah, it would have been we would have been revealed at the same time it was revealed for them. I think it would have been cool because the way it is now, we know it's an alien because we saw the spaceship. And so we know they're...
Now we're just waiting to see what the alien looks like.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Which obviously everyone
knows now.
Knows what a predator looks like now.
I knew what it looked like before I saw the movie. Although I think the first time I saw the movie, I don't think I realized that it was wearing a helmet.
I know I didn't.
Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting reveal the first time I saw the movie. Because I probably wasn't allowed to see. I definitely wasn't allowed to see like the Alien movies when I was young. I did see Aliens when I was probably in middle school, but I didn't see these movies, the Predator movies, until I was an adult, and so I didn't really know much about Predator. I knew what he looked like, but every image of Predator I had seen, he always had the helmet on.
I'm pretty sure that I saw Predator. Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting. It's such a cool helmet, though, too. You know, and yeah, you don't think about it being armor,
right?
So when he starts, I remember every time I see him do that, the mask, like where he takes the like mist starts spraying out or whatever it is, the steam, and I remember thinking, what was the original audience thinking he's doing right now?
Right.
Like, they would have no idea he's getting ready to take this thing off, even right now, and then he puts his hands on. And I remember also thinking, if you hadn't seen the spaceship, is this a Scooby-Doo moment?
Right, where it's like, it's the general from the beginning, he takes it off. It's the old man. That would have been interesting.
But no, it was not, and it was a very ugly alien.
Very ugly alien.
Very creepy, and very awesome practical effects, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that 100%. I think the makeup effects and the practical effects of the Predator are just top notch.
Even now, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
So.
I love the beginning of the shot in the space is cool, but I love the beginning of the movie with the team showing up and everybody gets out of the helicopter and then Schwarzenegger's back there just
it's kind of like Suicide Squad-ish. We just did the episode on that, so it kind of, feels that way.
Yeah, a little bit. Except they did it right in this one because they only had the one introduction. They didn't have
right
several introductions of Dutch and his team. I love that was another moment I definitely remembered from the movie where he and Carl Weathers,
yes,
do basically like a in the air arm wrestling thing. And what I love about that scene too is that it looks like Arnold is not even trying, and Carl Weathers is straining a little bit. So it's like we're shown right off the bat who is the strongest.
And also, I mean, Arnold's arm is huge.
Yeah, it is huge. Yeah.
Like would imagine he was maybe at pretty much his peak,
Oh,
close
yeah.
to his peak at that point.
I would think so too.
He might have tampered off a little bit because of his acting.
Right.
But
He
I
might not
bet
be at his Mr. Universe size
yeah,
or whatever.
but I
Right.
think for Predator, just for that scene, he was like, "Oh, I got to be big."
Yeah, he's probably lifting weights right before the scene and everything. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But they probably both were.
Yeah.
I actually read a little trivia tidbit that this is weird and I don't know how true it is, but supposedly the wardrobe people told Jesse Ventura that his arms were bigger than Schwarzenegger's. Like, I don't know if they were like fitting him for a wardrobe or something, and they were like, "Oh, your arms are bigger than Schwarzenegger's," and he was like, "Are you kidding me?" And
Wow.
he took that news and he went and bet Arnold that his arms were bigger than Arnold. So they measured their arms, and he said, "Whoever loses has to buy like a bottle of champagne or whatever." And Arnold won. And supposedly because he told the wardrobe people to tell him that his arms were bigger, which seems a little convoluted. Like he knew that Jesse Ventura was then gonna like have this contest or something. I don't know, but Arnold ended up playing him and won, and so then Jesse Ventura had to buy the champagne or something. It was, I don't know, but it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
definitely.
I mean, I kind of believe it because Schwarzenegger had, according to him and Stallone, they had like kind of a competition amongst them, where Stallone did that movie called Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. You remember that movie? I never saw it, but it was a movie he did in like the 90s with Estelle Getty from the Golden Girls, and it was called Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and apparently it's a terrible, terrible movie. And the only reason Stallone did it was because Schwarzenegger, who had no intention of doing the movie because he knew it was a terrible movie, said he was going to do it, and then Stallone was like, "No, I'm going to do this movie." Like,
That's funny that you say this because there's actually something about I haven't seen it, but I remember one of our friends telling us about it. The Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, what is it called? It's the documentary of him, like, for Mr. Universe.
Pumping Iron or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's called Pumping Iron. Anyway, there's something in that about how he uses, like, basically mind tricks. Exactly. To that was weird. To get who was he going up against? Was it Lou?
I think Lou Ferrigno was one of the guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically get him to get his esteem to like kind of make him doubt himself.
Oh, really?
And that helped kind of give Arnold an edge. So that's another thing. Is Arnold is supposedly a pretty intelligent guy.
Sure, I believe it.
Just from what I hear.
So is Stallone, I think, and it's funny because I think a lot of us tend to think of Stallone as his characters, like Rocky, and Rocky is not a very
right.
He's a very lovable guy, but he's not necessarily the smartest guy.
Right, and then nothing. I'm not insulting or anything, but the way he speaks,
right,
I think could maybe give that just impression too. But yeah.
So one of the notes I wrote was I love the music from the movie. Alan Silvestri did the music. He's the same guy that did Back to the Future and Forrest Gump and the Avengers, the first Avengers and Infinity War and Endgame. And I really liked it. I was like, man, I wonder is this score on iTunes? And it's not, of course, but I really liked it. It's kind of it's militaristic, but it also kind of has like a sci-fi feel to it at the same time. So I thought it was just, it's kind of playing as the helicopters are landing in the beginning. It's the opening credits and stuff.
Right.
I just really liked it.
I can kind of hear it in my head. I'm probably making it up.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's close. And I remember, liking the music too.
It's a good score. I think I'm kind of bummed that I can't buy it off iTunes, but I did find the CD on Amazon, but it's like $25 or something, which is a little more than I would prefer to pay for a CD. But that's good stuff.
Yeah. So This is made by Fox
Mhm.
as well as Alien.
Correct.
And I was wondering if they were like, because what Alien came out when? What year did Alien come out?
Like 79, I think.
And Predator was 80.
87.
Okay. So I was wondering if
I think Aliens had already come out because Aliens I think
Yeah.
was 86, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I was just curious if they were like, we need another, franchise of a sci-fi like horror. So, or someone maybe came to them with inspired. It just seems to me that there was some inspiration for Predator from Alien.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see it. I mean, this I wouldn't consider Predator a horror movie, but it almost is kind of the same,
Right.
same kind of thing where it's a group of people. They're not on a spaceship; they're in the jungle, but it's like a group of people being taken down, kind of one at a time, by this monster. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I could kind of see that. I could kind of see the pitch being like, "Okay, you guys made Alien, now
Right.
Alien in the jungle."
Exactly.
And they're like,
Exactly.
"Oh, interesting," So yeah, I could see that.
We'll even give him glowing green blood.
Right. It's not acid, but it's glowing
Right.
green blood. We don't want to take everything from Alien.
Yeah, because aliens didn't glow. So
No, it just burned. Was it green? Was Aliens? Is the alien blood?
I think it was
green?
more. It was like
It's kind of
green,
yellowish.
yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the team real quick. So we've got Arnold. Obviously, is Dutch. We know how we feel about him. You got Jesse Ventura as Blaine, I believe his name was. He's got a couple good lines in the movie. One of the most famous lines is, "I ain't got time to bleed."
Yeah.
And I like one of the
His
things.
reaction is. Go ahead.
Well, I just the part I didn't remember from that line. I remember that line being in the movie, but the part I didn't remember was the other guy. I think it was Pancho. His reaction. He was like,
No,
"Oh,
it's Carl. It's Carl Weathers.
oh, was it?"
Yeah.
He goes. Anyway, whoever it was, he goes. He's like, "Okay," like
Yeah.
he just was like, "Whatever."
That's why. That's what I was going to comment is Jesse Ventura's like. There's something about the way he delivers it, and then the reaction is. It's almost like it was impromptu.
It might have been improv. That would actually be really impressive if it was.
Yeah.
You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
Because it's almost like I remember thinking the way that Jesse Ventura delivers it is like he was like proud that he was like getting ready to say that. So it was almost like he just came, and then the reaction is okay.
Right.
It was good. I wonder if it was just improv.
It might have been. I'd be impressed, but it might have been. I remembered one of the other things I remembered was that Shane Black was in this movie, but I didn't remember anything about his character. And then watching the movie today, I realized, oh, it's because his character's not all that interesting. Number one, and he's the first to die. He plays Hawkins, the guy with the Egon Spangler glasses.
Right.
Yeah,
he's got a couple lines with the jokes.
Yeah, that's like his big thing. Is like he tells these inappropriate jokes that he kind of has to explain, and then that's pretty much it. And then he gets killed. He's basically the first. He's just the first to die. That's his basic role in the film. Is he is the first to die. So I mean, he does a decent job with what he's given, I guess.
I liked his determination just to make what's the guy's name that he's
Billy.
trying. Is it Billy?
I think it's Billy. Yeah, he's the one who does end up actually laughing. He tells him the second joke, and he ends up laughing.
Correct. Yeah. So I kind of liked the just he gets the courage again. After the how embarrassed he is the first time, and then he tries again, and then right. There's the pause, but then he laughs.
Yeah.
I thought that I liked that scene.
And then so let's talk about Billy a little bit. But I think Billy is one of the more interesting characters because he's got
totally.
he's got he's like the tracker. He's be able to pick up the trail. He's able to kind of piece together some of the things that happened, and he's also the one. Like I like how he stands his ground at the end, even though he gets killed. But like I don't really understand why he cut himself across his chest.
My thought
some sort
was
of ritual or something.
my thought was to help the scent.
Oh, so he's like attracting the predator to him rather than the
That's
people.
how I took it.
Kind of, that makes sense. I could see that. But yeah, I like his character a lot. I thought he was pretty cool. He's also the one who gets his spine and skull ripped out. There's that shot of the predator. He like throws his body on a tree, and then he just very easily actually rips his spine and skull.
I don't know if it's just me and maybe I'm squeamish, but it doesn't matter how many times I see a skull and spine ripped out of someone's body in cinema. It's always.
Say, how many times do you see it?
It's always yeah. It's always shocking to see.
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
It
makes me think of Mortal Kombat. Makes me think of
that's
like, the fatalities.
That's exactly seeing this because that actually happens.
Right,
Sub-Zero rips off someone's head, and the spine is like hanging down in the first game.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what this reminded me of too. Would Bill Duke,
yeah, Mac, I think is his name,
who played Mac, I thought maybe stole the show.
He does do an amazing job. I agree.
And I didn't
that.
remember him at all. And like in the beginning of the movie, they and I noticed they did this in Alien too. I don't know if, we talked about it actually about Sigourney Weaver and Ripley and how the beginning of the movie she's almost not in it.
Right.
Like she's almost like they show her face like just for a glimpse for like the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And then if you
didn't know, you would never think that she was going to be the last
and
man,
I've kind of felt like
standing.
They maybe did that a little bit with Mac here, even though he wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger. But at the beginning of the movie, he has a couple lines, but then it was like later. It was after he saw the Predator.
Yeah.
When
he's like
changes
shocked
his
and stuff.
and it kind of changes his whole demeanor. And I loved his acting. I thought he was awesome.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I like too how after it's after he sees the Predator and after Blaine dies, he's affected by Blaine's death too. I like that scene where he's drinks out of the flask and puts the flask down on Blaine's chest or whatever and says goodbye, bro, and then covers him up. I like it's Mac. I thought they developed pretty well. He's a he's a good character, and I think Bill Duke, like you said, knocks it out of the park. I think he does an amazing job. Pancho is the last one. Pancho was kind of like Hawkins to me. He wasn't super developed, didn't have a whole lot, and he survived up until the very end, I guess. He gets hit by that tree trunk, though. That's the part that really, that part hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually amazed that he survived that, to be honest with you. Because, like, that was a pretty large tree trunk swinging pretty fast. And he's obviously in a great deal of pain, but I would assume that that would have killed him.
I agree. Yeah, shame on you, Predator, for not getting that accurate.
For not getting that right. I guess there's one more person in the group. He's not part of the actual rescue team, but then you got Dylan. That's his name, right? Carl Weathers.
Yes.
And I guess I'm a little confused. Carl Weathers. So there's a general who brings in Arnold Schwarzenegger and his team. And I kind of take it as Arnold Schwarzenegger and his team are no longer in the military, but they're kind of like all ex-military, and they're brought in for special things like this.
Well, specifically, he gives off the impression, from what he says, it sounds like they only do rescue missions.
Correct. Right. They're like a rescue team.
You're right.
So
they'll
I don't know.
Kill if they have to for the rescue, but killing isn't.
They're not assassins, is what he says.
Yeah. They're not going there. That's not the main plan.
Right. So Carl Weathers, who does he work for the government? Or is he CIA?
Yeah, he's basically, I think, I don't like, so.
I know at one point they're going to get like a cabinet minister, and then you find out later that it's not a cabinet minister. It was they mentioned the CIA, and so it was like some kind of maybe covert operation or something. And I'm assuming Carl Weathers knew about that. He obviously knew about that, but I don't know if he's CIA or if he's just a government employee or something who knew about the mission and is trying to recover anything he can from that. He seems very excited about the paperwork in the camp that they destroy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wasn't really sure exactly what he. I mean, that's not really the point of the movie. The movie is about the Predator and
right.
You know, but I didn't quite follow the. Maybe I just need to watch that again. But
I was gonna say maybe we should just, like you said, it's not the point of the movie, so we could technically
get
away with not even really bringing it up.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I don't remember why.
But we do have to talk about when they find that guerrilla base,
right?
Because one of my notes for that was I have a couple notes for that. One of them was Arnold delivers a very great one-liner. And by great, I mean
there's two one-liners he has. One I love, the other one I didn't like.
Which one did you not like?
Knock knock.
Oh, really? I don't even remember that one. What was that one?
It's right after the good one.
The stick around?
Yes.
I didn't like stick around.
You didn't like stick. Oh my god, dude! His face when he says it and the camera angle, it's so good. I was like, that was amazing.
It's funny. The other note I wrote about stick around was the knife looks super fake, and I rewound it because I was like, is it just like playing a trick on my eyes? But it looked like a plastic knife sticking out of that guy.
Interesting.
And so I was like, all right. And so maybe I was really just turned off by the plastic knife, but then I heard Arnold go, stick around, and I was like, oh my god.
I loved stick around. I loved it. And then he does the knock knock, and I was like, that wasn't stick around.
I wonder if I was still just so I was rolling my eyes so heavily I missed the knock knock, because I don't even remember the knock.
That's interesting. Yeah. I liked stick around.
My favorite part of this whole scene, though, so there's like 15 explosions. Every single explosion sends 3 guys in the air, and like
then it just keeps going.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And so, I mean, it's great, but the thing that made me laugh was after everything is kind of calmed down. I can't remember if he's talking to Mac, or I think it's Mac, but somebody comes to him and kind of tells him what's going on, and Arnold says, clear the area, no traces. And I was like, no traces? There's like 15 explosions just went off. Like, how are you not going to leave a trace that you were there? Like, that makes no sense to me.
Speaking of the length, though, it's funny because my daughter was like right below the TV on my computer. And she was playing, and we were watching the movie, and it was really loud. And she, like, after about a minute, she turned to me and she was like, can you turn it down, please? And I was like, oh, don't worry. It's not going to be that much longer.
Yeah,
and it went on for
we've already seen 3 explosions. Like, yeah,
it went on for like another 2 or 3 minutes.
It was really long. And there are so many explosions. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's great 80s action,
Yeah.
But yeah.
The big long thing wasn't bad. It wasn't overly long.
Right. No. It didn't overstay its welcome. But I did find that funny. Leave no trace. Like, what? How are we supposed to do that? So this is going to be borderline, not blasphemous, but embarrassing, I guess, on my part. I totally forgot that this was the movie where Arnold says, get to the chopper. Like, I knew he said it in some movie, but I did not remember that it was this movie.
I only remembered it because of the last time I watched it.
Gotcha.
Which would have been within the past probably 3 years.
Yeah.
So I remember the last time I watched it, hearing that and being like, "Oh, this is the movie."
The Get to the Chopper movie. Also, I people when they do an Arnold impression, they say "Get to the chopper,"
right?
And then I feel like I hear a lot of people say "Do it now,"
right?
Which is from this movie as well, which I thought was kind of.
Is it? I missed that one.
That one I think is at the end when he's trying to convince the Predator to,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He's trying to get him to set the trap or whatever. He's going, "Come on, I'm here.
Right.
Do it Do it now.
So the scene, obviously, where they first see Predator and Mac sees him.
Oh yeah, after Blaine gets a hole ripped through him, right?
Yes. That was when I really first noticed the acting of what's his name? Billy.
Mac.
Yeah.
Bill Duke.
Yeah, Bill Duke. And they just level the forest.
Right.
Mac's face is terrified.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious why they came, because they had no idea what was going on. They're
Right.
reacting to Mac.
You're right. And I actually kind of love that. I love that Arnold has no, visible sight on the guy. He's just like, Mac's shooting this way, I'm shooting this way. And he just jumps in and just starts firing.
Right. And I love that too. And then all of them come and do it.
Yeah.
But they go on for so long. I'm kind of like, you'd think that they would stop and be like, "Hey Mac, like, why are we still shooting? Whatever we're shooting at's dead, man. I promise."
I mean, you're shooting a minigun. I think.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
So they literally go through their ammo. And
I know that's the thing that bugs me about that scene.
Yeah, and then like Mac is going, but I love how they leave him hold after he's out, and you hear just the spinning of the minigun.
Yeah,
and he's because he's
still
frozen.
holding it. Yeah.
And the reaction that they have, like, what's his deal? I don't remember where I was going with that at all.
Well, it's just a cool scene, and I like how Pancho comes back, and he says, "There's nothing."
Oh, I remember.
He was
where I
like,
going. Yeah.
He was like, I mean, all the rounds we shot and
No bullets.
using the minigun, there's no blood. Which is not true. There was blood on the leaf, and he didn't see it, I guess.
But he also says, nothing, and they allude to the sci-fi element here without them
nothing on
even
this
really,
planet could survive or something like that. Yeah.
Again,
I think if we hadn't seen the spaceship in the beginning, it would have been kind of cool,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not too late to take that out, Fox.
Right.
Well, Disney, I guess now.
Yeah. Although don't alter it, but like maybe if there was ever a director's cut or something, and we saw like a
it's too late now. It obviously would have been needed for the first time effect.
Right.
There's no point to do it now. Leave the ship.
Right.
in.
Just leave it. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. What I was gonna say is they were shooting also the people that when they find the skinned people initially, and Arnold, I believe, is the one. There's Arnold or
Billy's the one that stumbles upon it, but then they all see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might have been Billy though. It probably was Billy that's mentioned that they just were shooting everywhere. And it was Billy, because he was like, they were shooting everywhere, and I don't know why. Like,
yeah, he's the one that, and that's one of the things I was saying. Like, he's kind of like the tracker of the group, and he was like, there was a firefight, and they were shooting everywhere, and he was like, so they were ambushed, and he's like, I'm not so sure that they were. He's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Is he Native American?
I kind of, I thought that he was, but I'm not entirely sure. I kind of get that vibe.
I thought that's where they
from
were
it.
going. What they were going for with it, as him being able to kind of connect with nature and just have these kind of these skills and secrets of figuring out stuff about things. So when there's an element to the Predator mimicking.
Mm-hmm.
He starts recording their audio, and there's something that my kids pointed out to me, and. Yes, my kids watched Predator with me. And it was like Arnold punched him, or someone punched him in the face. It was like one of the first, maybe it wasn't Arnold, because it was like, anyway, he punched him in the face, and then the Predator punches him back.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, he's copying him. And then later on, when Arnold is kind of tracking Predator, and the Predator can't
see him.
Can't see him, and he gets really frustrated or afraid. I don't know, but like he kind of just basically starts mimicking what they did.
He starts just shooting up the forest. Yeah,
exactly. He just
That's
starts
right.
shooting everywhere.
I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right. He did that. And
Now,
so he might have gotten that. He might have, like you said, I always took it that he was frustrated. He's like, I know you're out here somewhere.
Right.
But he might have kind of, I wonder if he did get the idea, like, this is what they did to me. And that was probably, that's a pretty good idea. He's got to be out here somewhere. I'm just going to shoot everywhere.
Now, I don't know.
Trees like I can.
Right. Now, they do have a lot of technology, and that's not that hard to figure out.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's true.
But, the question is was he frustrated, or is he kind of freaked out himself? Like, is he like, I might have underestimated these guys because I can't find him now. He's he's like shooting rockets at me, and I didn't know it was coming. Like, I'm starting to get freaked out that he might be able to take me out.
It's possible, but
so it might have been like a kind of, like a desperate moment where he was literally like, I am going to shoot all over the place because I want to kill you.
It could be. I don't. My initial reaction is to say no. He's not freaked out and it's mainly because of the way he laughs at the end of the movie. Like, even when he knows he's done and he sets his timer and he just starts laughing, and Arnold is like, oh, I got to get out of here. That to me it seems like he's not afraid to die. You know what I mean?
You're right.
So
this is a big topic that I wanted to talk about, was the laugh at the end.
Okay.
How do you feel about the laugh?
I kind of like it. It's, I liked it at first, especially when it was kind of more of like a guttural type laugh, It almost sounded a little bit more animalistic, I guess. And then as Dutch is running away, it gets louder and louder, and it sounds more and more human to me, I think.
Yes.
And I don't like that part as much, but I do like the beginning laugh when like he's hitting the buttons, which I have a note about the wrist computer, but he's hitting the buttons, and Dutch is watching him like, what's going on? And then you kind of hear like the beeping, and he just is like, and he's and like, you just know what's happening. Like, I think if they had just kind of left his laugh be kind of that, and it maybe is just kind of echoing in Dutch's mind, rather than getting louder and him being like,
yes,
then I think that would have worked better. But I don't mind the laugh.
So to me, I love, at least like you're talking about, I love the idea of the laugh, and I thought I remembered loving it, and I might have, but watching it this time, I definitely had some things I would have changed about it, because I love the laugh, but I really thought I remembered it being the recorded version of Billy. It was Billy that laughed, right? No.
Yeah, it was Billy that laughed. Yeah, because Hawkins tells him the joke, and then Billy laughs.
Yes.
And the Predator records that. You're right.
So I think if they had just had him amplify Billy's
that would have been
laugh,
actually really cool. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, that I would have been fantastic. And I do kind of like just the absurdity of how he's running away and it just gets louder. And since he's actually laughing, it's like, I'm fine with it. But yeah, not only if it had been Billy's laugh, but kind of him not even laughing, just using that as a sound to communicate.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what this means to you, but I'm going to blare it at you as we die.
That would have been cool and kind of creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, real quick before we move on, my note about the wrist computer was there's a scene before that scene where he has, Arnold has been like kind of hitting him with surprise like explosions, and there's a moment where like his camouflage isn't working, and he looks down at his like wrist computer and it looks fried. There's like wiring and it's sparking and everything, and he hits something and turns his camouflage off. But that wrist computer looks completely destroyed.
Right.
And then at the end,
It's fine.
It's perfectly intact when he is setting up the like self-destruct thing. So,
Well, how much time had gone on since then? Because he might have had time to repair it.
I assume that whole fight between, I mean, maybe if he did it in a night, maybe I was gonna say I assume that whole fight between Arnold and the Predator was like two nights in a row or something like that.
Oh, I would imagine you could say that he could repair it then.
All right. If it wasn't the same night, I don't know. I'd have to go back and fast forward.
Or he had a backup.
I mean the Predator did have those surgical tools, and he was able to stitch himself up. And
he's got stuff.
He's got some stuff, so it's possible, I guess. The other note I wrote about the ending was that that was a huge mushroom cloud. I mean, it was like practically a nuclear explosion, and Dutch is fine. Like I was like, Dutch should be dead. That was a really large explosion. One character we didn't talk about, and I actually don't know her name, but it's the woman that they kind of take hostage. And that's one of the things that because of her, we find out that I was going to look her character name up, but I don't remember what it is. Anyway, because of her, we find out that the Predator is really, he only targets people who are armed.
Right.
Which I always thought was such a kind of a cool concept.
And I didn't even pick up on it until this viewing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was actually something I knew before seeing the movie. I knew that Predator, it was like they were hunting for sport, basically. That's what I always kind of had heard about. There was a couple things I knew about Predator before watching this movie for the first time. Was predators hunt for sport, and they only hunt people that can basically fight back. And they skin people alive.
And I had forgotten that too.
Yeah.
I knew they collected skulls.
Right.
Only
like
because of
trophies and whatnot, yeah.
Well, I won't even say it in case
until we get to the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, we're gonna spoil maybe Predator if you haven't seen it. We didn't mention that.
by the way, if you haven't seen Predator, spoiler alert. Now that we're wrapping up this episode and we've completely spoiled the movie for you. We used to put those notes in the beginning of the episode, but I feel like if you're looking at a podcast and it's an hour and whatever minutes, and you're like, I wonder if they're going to spoil this movie if I listen to this episode. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory.
I was joking.
Yeah, no, I know. Okay, so my last note that I wrote was, I love the character / cast end credits.
Yes,
but at the same time, it is very like 80s sitcom, because everybody except for Arnold does this thing where they like, catch a gun or whatever it is, and then like smile at the camera. Right. It's like, I feel like you could hear the Growing Pains theme.
I don't believe Jesse Ventura smiled, because I think he was like, I'm not smiling.
Yeah, I believe that.
I think he just kind of nodded at the camera.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. I think Jesse Ventura did not smile, but everybody else smiled except for Arnold. And Arnold was, I believe, an actual shot from the movie. It seemed like everybody else they shot specifically for that little end credits thing.
Is that why it freezes? Because it freezes on him.
Yeah, and he's the star, but it's also, I'm pretty sure, because he just turns around and like looks, and I'm almost positive that was a shot in the movie. And so I don't know why they didn't get like, maybe he didn't want to do it. Jesse
I don't have
Ventura
time
was like,
to record these credit videos doing Terminator 2.
Right. Jesse Ventura's like, I'll do it, but I'm not gonna smile. And Arnold's like, I'm not gonna do it. So they're like, fine.
I've got to get to the chopper.
I got to get to the chopper. Come on. We should have just done this entire episode in our bad Arnold impressions.
Mine is fantastic.
You're right. Mine is right. Mine is bad. Okay. So is there anything else? Is there
I don't think
kind of
so.
hit all the major points of the movie?
I really like the design of Predator and the concept of the
absolutely
the creature itself. It's nice and classic now, I guess you could say.
It's iconic for sure now.
Yeah.
I would have it would have been interesting to be able to like read some of the reviews back when the movie came out to see what critics kind of thought of it, or what they thought of, not necessarily the movie, but what they thought of the creature design and stuff. Because obviously, like I said, like to us, it's iconic. And I remember there being like Predator toys and stuff. I never had any, but it's amazing to me that I didn't know that he had a helmet, since there were Predator toys and stuff.
I don't think the Predator toys came out really until a little bit later. And I think there were Alien vs. Predator toys maybe before the movie even came out.
Well, I think there was a video game too before the movie came out. Wasn't there an Alien vs. Predator game?
I'm not sure, but it seems like maybe even a comic before the movie. I know there was at some point. I don't know if it was before the movie or not, but yeah, Predator definitely, for me at first, was more mysterious because, like I said, I had seen Alien first, but was always just kind of associated with whenever, at least at the beginning, when I first heard Alien, I never associated Alien with Predator, but I might have kind of always thought of Predator as under Alien. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a sub character,
right?
And I still feel that way. I would say iconically, Alien outdoes Predator, but Predator is right there alongside it now.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting how when you think of Alien, you kind of also, or maybe it's backwards. When you think of Predator, you kind of also think of Alien, and maybe vice versa. But I would agree with you that I think Alien is a little bit more iconic than Predator, and maybe that's because there's been more movies. There's been 4 Predator movies, but when Alien Resurrection came out, there was only 2 Predator movies. I don't know. One other thing I meant to talk about was Predator's like vision. You know, when he's got the helmet on, he's got like the heat vision, and when he takes his helmet off, he's kind of got like a similar type of vision, but it's all like it's red. I remember I actually did write this down. I was like, I don't understand how the Predator can see anything. Like when they cut to his kind of viewpoint, it's very difficult to make anything out. So I'm amazed that he's able to navigate through the jungle as well as he can.
Yeah.
I also really I like his invisibility look. How it kind of like, you
I do
that, like,
too.
shimmer
Unfortunately, it's a little dated now. The way it's
one of the effects that doesn't quite hold up. Yeah,
but the concept is really cool. And I remember as a kid seeing something on like Discovery Channel or something where it was a concept that they had for a suit that could make you invisible, and it was basically cameras that would and screens that like little, like there was like just these spheres, I guess, around you that would project and what the camera was shooting, so it would be showing what was behind you and showing it in front of you.
Right. Yeah. So the camera shooting backwards would display in front of and on the front of you. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So I like it is a little dated, like you said, but I like it a lot. Yeah. Well, I guess we should, let's talk about rating. How many stars would you give Predator?
I didn't even think of that.
It's the first time we've ever rated a movie on this show, so I got
to do it now. What would I give Predator? I'd say 4. I'd say 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay, I was gonna say I'll start if you wanted to think about it, and that's exactly how many I was gonna give it. It was 4 out of 5. I don't have any like real big complaints necessarily about this movie, but it's just I don't know. I didn't think it quite deserved 4.5 out of 5, but
right.
Because I enjoyed it, watching it tonight and stuff.
It's a really, really good movie.
Yeah, I like it a lot. If I had to choose, between, if I was looking at Alien and Predator, and they said you can only keep one, I would choose Alien. But this movie is really good though.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 out of 5. I think that's a good rating. So
absolutely.
Don't yell at me. Well, we'd love to know what you think about Predator. You can always leave a comment on our website, cinemaheroes.com, or our Facebook page, facebook.com/SMNSM podcast. You can tweet at us on Twitter at CinemaHeroes. That's our Instagram handle as well. I don't post on either of those as much as I should, but I do see the comments. So feel free. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. We really appreciate the support. And I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzo.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. We'll just label this one Predator, but just put up what the 30-minute recording that we've done so far.
It'll be like Back to the Future
People
3.
They haven't even mentioned Predator yet.